All right, welcome back. While I still have this paper up blocking the backdrop, I am gonna go ahead and along the back side of the tracks there, I'm gonna go ahead and put a layer of deadfall leaves. So I've got some of these deadfall, and unfortunately, a while back I bought some of the wrong stuff. I've got some fall leaves that are also kind of a brownish color. I'll probably mix them together. Because if you think about a forest floor, it is not green grass like what I've got down here as a base layer. It's dead leaves. So I'm gonna put that down, and then I've got some super trees, and I'll probably need to make some more. But I have some I can get in there. I wanna get those in so I can get that backdrop down. And above it, up here, I have a shelf that used to be over top of the yard when this was all upstairs. And I want to put the shelf up above the corner. It's actually exactly 8 feet long, which is exactly the width from that side to that side. So it'll fit up here perfectly. Give me something to mount light on. I can get more light up here. So pictures and stuff I take of this new scene as it come together will look right. And also as I'm modeling, it'll be the right color. It'll look, you know, I'll be working in the light that it's eventually going to be illuminated with, and that will help me with color selections, etc. So I'm gonna get cracking on that. All right, so what you see there is a combination of what I intended to use, which was this Scenic Express leaf litter. Then I mixed in a little bit of the fall leaf color, which is that more reddish color you can see there. And I didn't really like how that looked. It was just too red. It's meant for a fall tree, not deadfall on the ground. So, right out my door there, I don't do a great job of keeping the leaves off the gravel in the corner of the house right there. So I went out with my blender, filled it up with a bunch of leaves, threw some water in it, ground it up a bunch, and just kind of glop that stuff on back here. And then I came in with this Scenic Express, Scenic Texture, the deadfall, you know, forest debris. There's little bits of lichen and little bits of, it's a lot of sort of black bits that you see mixed into the brown there. So I laid that all on pretty thick, smashed it down with my fingers. The color's better. It adds a bunch of natural texture because the stems of the leaves and stuff don't always grind all the way up. And then I hit it with a pretty dilute mix of Mod Podge, water, and isopropyl alcohol. Again, I'm probably, I don't know, 1 part Mod Podge to 2 to 3 parts water, maybe even more. Decent bit of IPA in there. I don't know, another 2 parts maybe. If it's 6 parts total, only 1 of it's Mod Podge. And then I just sprayed that all over the top, which is why it has that whitish hue. That will dry clear and matte, and hopefully the color will be right. So we'll see what that looks like in the morning. I apologize if you guys can hear the fan. That's just there to accelerate the drying process. Now, if I like what that looks like, I've got more of this and plenty more leaves where that came from that I can glop along the rest of the back here because I went to order some more of this stuff, and the shipping alone was more than the leaf litter itself cost. So what can we do homemade? We'll see how this works. A little bit of an experiment live on the layout. So I'll show you what it looks like when it dries. Okay, came back in with a little bit more of the homemade ground up leaves and kind of smashed them in and tried to smooth the edges out. But what I'm doing now, that this is all largely set in place, I want to come back in with some that's more loose and kind of sprinkle it over the top. So over here, I'm getting into some bigger sticks and stuff like that. I'll probably come through with the airbrush and hit it with some of this buff and earthy sort of tones, and kind of tone some of those sticks down a little bit. But the leaves themselves are the right color, because they're real leaves. I just want to come in with some kind of loose shake, especially around the edges that are closer to the track where it won't be hidden with trees and stuff. So I'm going to do that next. I'm kind of experimenting with ways to get that dried, and I'll share more as I sort of figure that out. But that's what I've got so far. I do have some super trees already made from the old layout, but this is a pretty big section. I'm gonna need some more. I just wanna get the ground cover set the way I want it with the leaf base. Then I'm gonna get this paper off of here, mount that shelf I've talked about off and on that used to be over the yard, and then come in with the trees. I don't want to put the trees in first and then have the shelf, you know, break anything as I'm trying to mount it. So that's the plan. More to come. All right, so I took what was left in the blender and put it on this little piece of aluminum foil here, and I put it in the oven for a few hours at 175, just enough to, you know, work off some of that moisture. And I think that's gonna work just fine as leaf litter. I wanted to use something that was just a little bit more, you know, when you sprinkle it on, it looks different than when you're mashing globs of it down. So I just want to go over the top of everything with this stuff up in the scene in the corner, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I think I could pretty easily scale that up, you know, do a pretty full blender of water and leaf bits. And, you know, if you wanted to come along and pick some of this larger stuff out, you certainly could, but I mean, woods are full of sticks and deadfall. So I think this is going to work just fine. I'm happy with the way that turned out, and I'm going to use it. All right, just to kind of show what I'm doing here, I'm grabbing, if you can look along the edge there, specifically like right in here, you can see where I sort of worked the gloppy bits down straight out of the blender. What I'm doing now is just coming along and trying to clean up that hard edge with some of the, you know, the more loose shake. And I'll glue that down with the Mod Podge and the alcohol. And I think that'll just look better as I just kind of clean up the edge, make it look a little bit more natural. Like that. Yeah, I'm liking how that's looking. Not a bad stand-in. I think something I would use again. And you might even come in and use this, this homemade stuff to fill in the back of the woods and get the really nice scale leaves, you know, for the edge of the woods line, like right where I'm using this stuff. But I do think this is gonna work just fine. So the color will match once I glue it down. It's only lighter because the other stuff's already been glued down. But it's the exact same material. And just, you know, again, coming in, cleaning up that sharp edge that I got, and just sprinkling it on. All right, I'm gonna finish this up, come all the way over and glue it, and then I'm gonna get the lighting improved in here. I wanna do that while I still have the backdrop up. I wanna glue this stuff down because I spray the glue. Then I wanna pull that backdrop protector down, it goes up higher up the wall. And then I wanna put the shelf in to improve my lighting situation. It's too dark. More to come. All right, well, that looks a little better, doesn't it? A little bit more light, yeah? Got the shelf in, finally. And I did end up, that used to go all the way across. And I don't think it was ever really intended to be here. I've been in the house 10 years now. I don't think it was ever intended to be the storage solution for 10 years. And it was starting to look a little wonky, especially above the workbench, which didn't make me happy. It was kind of bowing and leaning down, and anyway, it needed to go. So it's gone, and now I've got this in, and there's a nice stable shelf above that. It's pretty high. I mean, I'm standing on the ground and I can just reach it. So, you know, I can put stuff up there, but not things I want to use all the time. Maybe kit boxes and stuff like that will go up there. But it does light things up. I like how that turned out. And now that that's there, I'm gonna turn my attention to planting trees in this area. And this is what this ended up looking like. This is mostly natural leaves that I sprinkled on, ground up. And then I did a little light buff and earth color over the top of it just to kind of tie things together a little better. It was a little bit stark, but that is what it turned into. So I will now be planting trees all across the back here, starting here. No, this is darker over here. I'll eventually have more lights coming this way, but for now, I'm gonna get the trees in, starting here, all through there, where all the leaves are, around to about there. And So I'll be starting that next, and then if I just look around the layout this way, you can see all the trees I have queued up and ready to go. So this, and this are trees I've just recently made. I've got different colors intentionally. I've done the highlight like I've shown before. It's just super trees. Pull back out and show this. This was the view block on the old layout behind the hill that went to Manchester. This was the what I used to block. The track used to come around behind it into staging, and in the front curved and went into Manchester. So I won't need that piece anymore, so I'm going to recycle those trees. These are extra trees I had made from before that I hadn't used yet. And then this bin right here is all pieces that I recycled from that hill. And if I keep panning, this used to go further that way and curve, this hill here. There was a big hill that broke up. This scene, staging was back there, and then Manchester was right here. So I kept some of it, but I did recycle all the materials that were on the little square corner section that I'm not going to use. So I've got some of this homemade scenery mat that was on the hill and a bunch of trees. So I'll be reusing all of that over here in this new scene. So I think I've got enough trees for that section back there. Of course, every time anybody's doing anything with super trees, we always say, hey, I got enough trees. No, you don't. Somehow layouts have a way of just swallowing these things up. So I'm gonna get cracking on that and show you all what it looks like with the trees.
All right, so to get started here, I'm just using a little Elmer's white glue. Getting that on a piece of cardboard that's just out of frame. And it's really a simple process. Grab one of the trees off the foam blocks. I put them on to let them dry. Kind of test fit. See, every tree is shaped a little bit different. Some of them are real full and thick like this one, and others are a little bit more airy, and it looks good when you mix them together. So once you find a spot where you want to put it, I'm kind of playing around with it. I use a toothpick, because remember that landform is just foam. So a toothpick goes right in. I rotate it around to make the hole a little bit bigger. Some of these trunks are a little thicker than the toothpick. Dab the end of it in the glue, and then so I can find my spot, I wait till the last second to pull the toothpick out, and then I just drop it right in the hole. So that's a really thick looking one. And I think the next one I'm going to grab here, is one of those taller, airier ones, which will also look good in there. Didn't like the first spot, but that second one, that was the spot. So again, with the toothpick, popping it through the foam, rotate it around to open it up. I've left the toothpick there so I don't lose the spot. It's really hard to find the hole sometimes with all that deadfall. So I've got the glue on the end of it there, and I just, again, drop the trunk right into the hole, and that's another tree planted. So I'll just proceed like that, adding trees and test fitting them. I'll say I also, the little pieces that break off make for really good undergrowth. So you'll see, and there's a time lapse coming up here, you'll see me grabbing little small pieces and planting them, especially in front of the row of big trees.
I've picked those two remnants pretty clean of interesting textures and things, and put them in with the trees that go all the way across. I'm liking how this is turning out. Got the colors in here match the colors on the backdrop, I feel like, which just gives it the illusion of going on forever, especially back in here. Just seems like those woods just keep going, but really, it's about not even a foot wide back there. And then that coved backdrop just sort of, again, makes it look like it's going on forever. So I like how that's turning out. That's gonna do a nice job of framing the rear of this scene. And I could spend hours coming in and putting interesting textures of underbrush here along the woods line. And I probably will do some of that, especially on the ends, like over here, where you can kind of see the backdrop, the brown below the backdrop through the woods, maybe a little bit underneath this tree here. You know, just some stuff like that as I walk along and look at it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that went, and miraculously, I actually had enough trees. I actually have 2 left over that I didn't use. You might have seen me test fitting them, and I just couldn't come up with a place I wanted to put them. So I didn't. So I'm gonna stop here for this week. Got some scenery going finally, guys. Pretty excited. Anyway, I hope everyone is well and safe. Y'all be well.